Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel, people, and for more discussion about Arsenal and how we've been tracking in our latest performances and where we are currently sitting and the general dynamic and vibe, people, as we move into the next matches. So most recently we've just recorded a 1-0 win against Brentford, and it has taken us back to the top of the table. And in fact, it is the first time this season that we have been top of the table. 1 point ahead of Man City and a further 1 point ahead of Liverpool. So 2 points ahead of Liverpool. And it does feel, people, like Arsenal are pacing this well and that we are in a rhythm that feels sustainable. It feels like we can maintain the tempo and the level of exertion and energy that we are putting out there, because against Brentford it was a somewhat cagey, ponderous display in some ways, where we lacked that vibrancy, we lacked that energy and cutting edge at certain points. We were a little bit slow in the build up and through the phases. We struggled to really penetrate from that edge of Brentford's area moving forward in that final third. We just lacked that little bit of creativity or ability to open up Brentford, who, it has to be said, did maintain a very strong, well-organised back line. However, in the 89th minute, Saka, as he so often does, pops up with a moment with that cross from the right, and perfectly weighted cross, and Havertz was there to head home only his second Arsenal goal, and it was a wonderful moment for him, people. Just for Havertz to get that goal, I think it'll do his confidence the world of good. And what a very important goal it was, because after Liverpool and Man City drew, Arsenal were able to capitalise on that opportunity. Now, there has been a lot of discussion in recent times, people, about Arsenal's style of play, and a lot of people seem to be drawing this conclusion that we're somehow not playing as well as we were last season. Now, for me, I have to disagree with this notion, people. I actually think Arsenal are playing in a much more, I keep using this word, sustainable style, because if we're looking at a 38-game season with Champions League commitments in there, FA Cup will obviously come in at some point, you do need a level of control and a sense of holding back some of your energy, because energy does have to be spread across the matches. You can't give 100% in every game from a physical outlay point of view. Of course, from a concentration, from a strategic, from a pragmatic point of view, to try and win the game, absolutely. But there are different ways of skinning a cat, and Arsenal are finding different ways of doing it. We are utilising more crosses this season, so Saka is putting in a lot of crosses, and we're seeing that it is resulting in goals. He's assisted Trossard a few times this season, both in the Premier League and the Champions League, in similar ways, just cutting in, finding Trossard at the back post, and Trossard getting that finish in at the back post. We've also seen from corner kicks, we've been able to take advantage of a lot of those. Think of the Man United goal from Declan Rice, Saliba recently in the 3-1 win against Burnley. We are taking advantage of corners, and that's proving fruitful. And we're obviously creating the moment to get the corner. So we're probing, we're asking questions of the defence. We might be putting shots from outside the box that's leading to blocks from the defence that's leading to corners. So we are maybe taking fewer risks, and as a result we're also leaving ourselves less exposed in the defence. So I feel like teams are finding it harder to break Arsenal down. Like, if you compare Newcastle's 1-0 win against us to their 4-1 win against Chelsea, or their 5-1 win on the opening day of the season against Aston Villa, what we can see is, whilst Aston Villa per se, let's use them as a case, are playing a more exciting brand of football, and they go away from home against the likes of Newcastle, Liverpool, even to an extent Tottenham in that recent match where they actually did win 2-1. They are leaving holes at the back. They're quite porous, leaving themselves exposed to counter-attacks. Whereas I feel with Arsenal, we're locking down the defence in the midfield, and as a result, teams are not breaking us down or finding those openings to attack us. And we only have to look at what happened at the end of last season to give us a clue about why Arteta's doing this, because let's say post-World Cup, there were numerous examples where Arsenal got into a bit of a punch-for-punch style of game where it was one team attacks, we attack. And the Aston Villa game at Villa Park where we won 4-2, we were obviously trailing 2-1. Bournemouth, we came back from a 2-0 deficit to win 3-2. Southampton, we were trailing, and we ended up having to score 2 late goals to arrest a 3-1 deficit to draw it 3-3. Obviously, we let two goal leads slip against West Ham and Liverpool back-to-back in that back end of the season. And it did feel like it was somewhat of a unexpected situation every time we crossed that white line onto the pitch, where you didn't quite know for sure the manner in which Arsenal were going to get the win. Was it going to be a convincing one? Was it going to be like a comeback win? Was it going to be holding off a team coming back? But this time you can see a blueprint. You can actually see what Arsenal are trying to do. First 25 to 30 minutes, lock it down. No flamboyant attacks really, just feel the opposition out, pass it sideways, deaden the tempo, especially away from home. That's always a good strategy to quieten the crowd. And then slowly but surely, probe again, and you'll get an opening, you'll get a goal. And that's what happened against Brentford. We just kept chipping away, and slowly the tree or the branch is going to topple over. As we saw with that cross, momentary loss of concentration maybe, from Brentford, didn't pick up Havertz's run, and we get the goal. So this is what I'm liking, people. There's a blueprint, there's a repeatability, there's a sense of a plan about how Arsenal are doing it, and I do think it's sensible, because I also noticed that a lot of the people who critiqued Arsenal's style for being too open, too reckless, too attacking per se, are now saying that Arsenal aren't playing as well as they are last season and it's not looking as fluid. So I feel the reason we're seeing this style is because Arteta has learned a lot from last season. And I think another big difference, people, is the fact that we're playing Champions League now instead of Europa League. So in those Europa League matches, group matches at the beginning of last season, we were very much shoddy, to be honest. We weren't good in those matches. We were very fortunate to beat Bodo Glimt, I remember, in Norway. They spurned a number of opportunities, and we obviously lost to PSV heavily when we travelled there. And whilst we did pick up our home wins in the group, it didn't feel as assured, as dominant, as fluid as it was in the Premier League in those opening games of last season. This season, however, we're approaching the Champions League with authority, with confidence, with a sense of flourish, and we're actually playing really well in the Champions League. We're top of our group with a 4-point cushion. So I feel balancing a greater level of competition is of course going to mean in the Premier League you might have to just conserve a bit more energy. And this is what we are doing. We're having to spin a couple of different plates, whereas maybe last season we were spinning one plate and the other one, i.e. the Europa League, was just, let's see what happens, we'll rock up with our second string and it should be good enough. Now we're having to be a lot more switched on and calculated to the various different challenges that we're actually facing this year. So I'm really happy, people, with how we're going about things at the moment. It's sustainable, it's controlled, it's disciplined, it's brave, rugged, and ultimately competitive. We're being very competitive in these matches. We're a very physically strong team. I think Declan Rice has added such strength of presence and his ability to get about the pitch, to track runners, to intercept, and also to get forward at times. I think has been invaluable in our ability to go to these difficult away matches, the Brentfords, the Crystal Palaces, the Evertons, and pick up 1-0 wins, pick up these results. I think he's been pivotal. Obviously, Gabriel and Saliba, first-class defensive combination. Tommy Asu's really finding his feet again in defence. I personally think Raya has been excellent in goal. I think it's been really overblown, the focus on his mistakes, because I actually think he's been outstanding in goal. His distribution is incredible. Some pinpoint passes, spotting Martinelli and playing these, reminds me of like a golfer playing these drives off the tee. They just float and just cut through the air, and he's picked out a pinpoint pass every time, and I just really think he's adding a lot to our game. I think Saka has been immense, but again, people are questioning whether he's been a tad below par this season. I'm starting to think he hasn't. I don't think he has. I think he's actually been our best attacking player this season in that final third area, just because of the moments he's producing, the crosses, when he's doing it in games, in important moments, not 89th minute against Brentford, late on again against Chelsea to get that equaliser for Trossard. I think Saka's been good, and people say he's not taking his fullback on. I'm not sure about that. I think he is. I think he's stretching his fullback a lot. He's asking questions. It's like a boxer that's just waiting for that chink in the guard of the other fighter, and then he'll pounce. I think he's playing a really probing game. So I've been impressed with him. Long may it continue, people. Obviously, we've got Lens in the Champions League this tomorrow. So that'll be interesting to see how we go in that one. Hopefully we can wrap up top spot with a win, and it will mean we can rest and rotate for that final game against PSV away. So let's see, people, how it goes. But at the moment, I'm really happy and confident with how we're going, people. And it's just a process focus, people. We're not thinking about end goals at the moment. We're just thinking about process goals, i.e. chipping away with each performance, trying to find ways to win through our style of play in each match. And I think so far it's working pretty well, people. Top of the league with 30 points from 13 games. So we're over a third of the way through the season. So let's just keep ticking off these milestones, people. Get through another couple of games, Wolves, Luton, then we can look at Aston Villa. Then we can look beyond that at the games that follow, as the schedule obviously will get thick and fast towards that Christmas period. All right, people, hope you enjoyed the content. Shoot me through your comments. Do you share my optimism and satisfaction with how things are going at the moment at the Emirates? All right, people, peace, love.